How much does it cost to self-publish in 2020? You're going to find out in today's video. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm Dale L. Roberts, a best-selling author as well as a self-publishing advocate who wants to show you how to publish books that sell. And if you want that too, of course, subscribe to this channel and also join me every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Daytime at twitch.tv/selfpublish. If you subscribe for free with your Amazon Prime membership, you can also get a few freebies in the process. This is the 5th part of the How to Self-Publish a Book series that's exclusively sponsored by Fiverr. And if you want to, go check out all of their wonderful services in their new ebook and bookstore for folks just like you at dalelinks.com/Fiverr. That is Fiverr. A full disclosure, this is an expedited overview of everything. So just so you know, I put together a book, but that's a loose sense of the terms because it was a shorter manuscript. And the reason why is I really just wanted to use this as an example. So just know that if you've got a longer book, a longer manuscript, it's going to equal a longer process, and it's going to, of course, equal more as an investment up front. We started out with the research mode. As a quick recap, what I did was I used a software that's called Publisher Rocket to do all of the research for my keywords, my competition, the categories, and everything else. It was nice that I came to the table knowing exactly what I wanted to get produced for this specific project. So I was able to use Publisher Rocket to kind of put all this together, and it took less than an hour for me to really research exactly what I wanted to. And I found something I was pretty happy with, and I'm very happy with now. Publisher Rocket is a one-time fee, and it's a lifetime access for $97. If you want to get access to that, I've got a link down inside the description down below. Is it mandatory that you have Publisher Rocket to do publishing? No, not by any stretch, but I wanted to give you full disclosure as far as all of the costs involved in putting this project together. Then came writing the content. So in my previous video about how to outline a book and writing on a busy schedule, I told you that there are a couple of ways that you can do it. You can either do it yourself, which means you write your own content, that's free, and all you got to do is invest a little bit of time. In my instance, I'm kind of strapped for time. I really just don't have enough time to put together a manuscript for this video series, so it only made sense that I had a ghostwriter work with me on this specific project. Now, again, this is a loose sense of the term book when I say that the manuscript was going to be about 5,000 words. But I reached out to somebody on the Fiverr platform and they did the ghostwriting for me. I told them exactly what I needed. I handed off the outline and had them do that. It was about 5,000 words for $250. But when I got the gig back, she delivered 6,100 words. Now, hang in there for a second. I'm going to tell you why this turned out to be a bit of a detriment to me. Because sure, it was great that I got an extra 1,100 words at no extra cost, but it was bad in that it increased the cost of all the services thereafter. So know this is when you're hiring out somebody, you may want to be very explicit about your word count and trying to honor that one or give them at least a range. This one I said I wanted 5,000. I should have said up to 5,000 and nothing beyond it. It took a total of about 10 days to complete, and I was pretty happy with the manuscript. She did a very good job. Then comes editing and proofreading. Okay, could you do this yourself? Yes. Should you do that? No. And the reason is you're going to be blind to a lot of mistakes you would otherwise catch. And even if, for instance, you hire a ghostwriter and maybe they edited their own work, it's still a good investment to reach out to somebody other than that writer to edit that for you and to proofread it. So that way it is as tight and as polished as possible before you put it onto the market. So for the editing services, I went over and I ordered a basic gig for 10,000 words, and it covered grammar and syntax review. I intended to order the standard gig with all the above, and it included feedback, content rewriting, and structural editing. I was in a rush to put together this video series, and I just hastily went and ordered that. I should have reached out to her in advance. Thankfully, that specific basic gig covered 10,000 words and all I had was 6,100. So she was totally cool with doing some of the content rewriting and giving me just a little bit more. Now, I can't promise that she's going to do that same deal for you. So the basic gig was about $100. Now, if I would have done the standard gig, it would have been $140, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. I'm not going to sweat it at this point. It took about 3 days for her to turn this around, and the nice thing, it turned out to be really good timing. Despite my lack of communication in advance with her, it just so happened to hit her inbox at the right time, that she didn't have a lot of work and she was able to handle the gig. Then came the proofreading services. Now, why would I proofread after I've been editing? Well, think of proofreading like putting on that final coat of wax. Now, I would recommend when it comes to editing that you go through a few rounds of editing to make sure it's all clean, but with it being such a short manuscript, I handled the editing before I sent it off to the editor, and then the editor went ahead and sent it to me, and I edited it again, and then I sent it over to the proofreader. Now, if you're strapped for time and you don't have the time to go through and edit your stuff, might I recommend you might want to work into your budget about 2 to 3 rounds of editing. And so for this specific gig, since it was about 6,100 words, it ran me about $90. If it was 5,000, it would have been $75. So you can see how that first ghostwriting gig really kind of messed me over in some instances. And the proofreading services took all of 1 day to turn around, and she had some fantastic notes, and I was able to really tweak and fine-tune exactly what I had there. Then came the interior formatting. Okay, so we're going to need to make sure we're putting it together for ebook and print book. So you're going to want to have both of those formatted. I don't like to fuss around with this too much, and especially being so busy, so I hired out again. And so I want to find someone that's an all-in-one service, someone who's going to handle both of them. So that way there is some type of brand recognition from one to the next. Because if I try to hire someone for the ebook and then another person for the print book, and they're going to probably give me 2 different products, I'd rather have 2 that are very much the same. So to format the print and ebook, I reached out to this gentleman in advance. He was able to handle everything. He charged $75, and it took all of about 4 days to turn around. And here's the big kudos. He didn't just put together the gig and just hand it over to me and say, well, go ahead and make sense of it if you can. He actually gave instructions on what needs to be done in order to publish it successfully. And I really like that. Now, of course, I really didn't need that myself, but if you're new to publishing, this is kind of a nice little hand-holding thing. So he wanted to make sure that you were taken care of after your gig was done with him. So by far, my most favorite gig of all of them because of what he provided beyond his service. Then came the cover design. This was my most favorite part here. I will tell you that if you have a hit book cover, don't expect to make any sales. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't pulling any punches on this one. I wanted to spend as much money onto this area as possible so I had the best product I could, because if it looks hit and it seems hit, and it just doesn't match the rest of the niche, no one's gonna buy it. And so that's why I said, okay, let's go for the gold. Let's get the best of the best, the cream of the crop. And this is why I chose a service that's available through Fiverr called the Fiverr Pro. And I wanted it to be, again, one-stop shop, ebook and print book, and eventually have an audiobook cover done too. I just wanted to cover the print and ebook for right now, and I'd come back later and get the audiobook. For the cover, this was really nice. This ran me about $280, and there was a couple of service fees that were put on top of this, and I'm going to talk about fees when we go into the totals and such, because I didn't cover that just yet. But it took about 5 days to complete. I was blown away at what she sent back. Sometimes when I've worked with cover designers, there's been some type of volleying back and forth, but for this one, it seemed like she understood exactly what I was shooting for. Okay, so I told you that there were some fees that were involved. Now let's go ahead and add everything together, because publishing it is going to be 100% free, and I'm going to share that in the very next video. Stick around to the very end. Fiverr worked with me, and they gave me credits in advance. So if you have credits as a seller of some sort inside Fiverr, you don't need to pay for any type of fees. Normally, you're charged $2 per gig that's ordered for anything that's below $40. But as you could kind of tell from each one of these gigs, it was definitely above $40. And that actually is going to be a 5% fee on each one of those. Again, if you've got credits, you don't have to worry about fees. So how much does it cost to self-publish altogether? For the research, that was $97, and it was a one-time fee. It's optional. I would highly recommend, if you are getting into this business, consider investing in it, and especially if you plan on doing multiple publications in due time. Then came the ghostwriting, and that was about $250 for about 5,000 words, supposed to be 5,000, but it ended up being 6,100, plus $12.50 for the service fee for a total of $262.50. Then the editing was $100. You add service fees on that, that'll be $5 more for a total of $105. Proofreading was about $90, and if you add the fee in, it's $4.50 for a total of $94.50. Formatting was about $75 for both print book and ebook together, with a service fee of $3.75 for a total of $78.75. Book cover design was a little bit higher than all the other services, and I think really worth it, and I'll be revealing it in the next video. It was $280, and with a service fee that would be $14 for a total of $294. For the total cost of self-publishing this book, it was about $931.75. It was less than $1,000. Now, a lot of you might be kind of getting some sticker shock and going, ugh, maybe there's some services that you could do yourself. Maybe you're a good cover designer and you could handle that. I would always recommend hiring out. Maybe you already know an editor and you're able to work something out, like a quid pro quo system, and then you can, waive that. For a book that's about 6,100 words, less than $1,000, this is not too bad. And if you want to take advantage of any of the services, again, there's some links down in the description down below to each one of the service providers that I use, as well as go over to dalelinks.com/Fiverr. And also, what about publishing the book? Well, good news, the final part of the How to Self-Publish a Book series is going to be coming up next here in this very next video. I'll be releasing it very soon. If it's not already out, you got to click on this next one. In the meantime, I will talk to you then.